Hello, hello. Welcome back to the Awakening Her podcast. How are you doing today, my friend? Inhale and lay exhale. Welcome back to the show. And if you're new here, hey, hello, hi. My name is Talia Joy. I'm so excited our paths have crossed, and I'm so excited that you're here for this episode. So today we are talking about the truth about discipline, the spiritual side, the dark underbelly. We're going to go deeper into discipline, motivation, willpower, how we create that energy, that grit, that oomph to continue moving forward. And this can be in our mental health, personal development and growth. It could be in our health journey. It could be in our business. It could be, a fitness journey or something that can feel difficult and feel like you want the motivation or the willpower that you think you need to get there. So this comes up a lot with clients. My clients are amazing. First of all, you guys just give me the most joy in the world. I'm so honored to serve you, but they are driven. They are self-led. They are moving through things. They are smashing goals, sometimes not smashing goals, and then learning and pivoting and then smashing those goals. We're all going through it, right? We're going through self-growth, transformation, and it comes up a lot where at some point when I work with someone, often there's a question around motivation or willpower, or they'll ask me, how do you have the discipline? How do you have the motivation to keep going and keep creating episodes or showing up in my business for more than 10 years or posting semi-consistently or whatever it is? And so I'm really excited to talk about it today because it does come up with clients. It often ends up really helping them to reposition their perspective on what discipline and motivation and willpower and all these things are so that you can harness that energy of consistency that you're looking for. So I'm really excited to jump into this today because, discipline is useful sometimes. I look at discipline almost like the jumper cables that just gets your dead battery started, but you can't run your car on jumper cables. Does that make sense? I don't know why that metaphor just came up, but we're going to break it all down in the episode. And I'm really excited for that because discipline and motivation and willpower, they are very important in a select place. However, I would not actually say that I wouldn't say that discipline is a strength of mine or even motivation. It goes so much deeper, but also so much more nuanced, which of course we're going to get into in the episode. So if you're looking for it, if you're looking for that motivation, if you're looking for that, that willpower to keep going, I am so excited to help you with this one today. It's definitely going to help you burst that forward. And yeah, so before we start the episode, if you are willing to leave me a review on your podcast player, it would mean the most. You could probably do it right as you're listening. Just takes a second, but I also honor your time and say thank you so much. It is something that you can do that is free, that literally takes a second and helps more than you know. If you have an online business or you have a podcast, you know how every like, every comment, every share, and especially those reviews, they really do go far. And I know personally the podcast that I listen to, I'll go on sprees where I just give everybody reviews and I try to really, give that back because it just takes a second and it really does help that creator and helps us keep these digital lights on so we can keep doing what we love to do. And for me, I just love this show so much. We've been going now 5 years. We have over 230,000 downloads in over 25 countries. That to me blows my mind. That's insane. Thank you so much. And if you are willing to leave a review, it would just mean the most. So thank you so much. Sending you lots of love, whether you write a review or not. And I guess other than that, if you want to come find me on Instagram, I would be excited to connect. It's at Talia Joy Manifestation. All the links are below for that and more. And without further ado, let's just dive into the episode. Okay, so willpower, motivation, discipline. We look at these people out in the world, maybe authors, teachers, speakers, business people, other moms, people that are into fitness, people that are writing a book. We can look everywhere all the time on Instagram, around in our real life. And then of course, the big celebrities or the big self-growth people you look to. And something that we tend to default and into thinking is that they must have incredible motivation and willpower and discipline. Like I look at someone like Tony Robbins and I'm like, dude, that guy has more like get up at the crack of dawn and make the most of this life energy than a lot of people. And of course, there are reasons why people like that are successful, and even why something like my podcast, as I was just saying the stats and we've been doing it 5 years and blah, blah, blah. There's a reason that's successful. It's not just a fluke. I didn't just show up and create, one episode and be like, oh my gosh, I'm viral. That's not really what creates success. And in that, there's a beautiful metaphor in this that I'm sure you'll pick up on, but even the viral moments, say somebody does put out like a reel or something, in my experience with my clients and my own, I have a reel that had, I think, almost 1 million views and several that were like 500,000, 750,000, which is the most for my account. Those are never the people that buy. And that's also not the reel that launched me into success. I don't think one person has hired me and gone like, oh my goodness, that 10 signs you're in an awakening reel, that was it. Then I hired you. So I'm just almost pointing to even people that have wild overnight success or one hit song or one, program. I've seen coaches many times that they have a program, they make $100,000 in the launch, and then they do something else and it flops. It's kind of like we see the success and we think, wow, they have something I don't. But I just want to say that real grounded success that is long-term success, like we're talking generational wealth, something that really sets you up, or even if it's multiple books that make their way around the world, or you becoming incredibly fit, it's never an overnight thing. It's never a one day I had discipline and then my life changed thing. It is an everyday showing up over and over thing. So that's why we tend to think these people must have great discipline or motivation, because every day they're getting up and going for a walk. Every day they're writing, 5 pages of their book or whatever it is. But there is something deeper here. Discipline and motivation and willpower, I'm just going to offer this, see if it resonates. In my experience and from my perspective, they are all short-term energy sources. It's a burst. It's a spark. It's a thing on one day when you're like, oh, I don't want to do it. And then you're like, fine, I'll do it, right? Which is powerful, of course. And just like I said, the jumper cables, it gets you out of a jam, right? If you're stranded and you have jumper cables, well, if considering or assuming that it's your battery. But if your car battery dies and you have jumper cables, awesome. You're good until your car stops again, really. So it's powerful, and please have your jumper cables. It's the push to get over the hill. It's the push to sometimes get going, or the push on a, low energy day, say an athlete's training for something and they have a day they're just not feeling good. That short-term burst can definitely get you through a patch, a day, an hour, but it's not the same power as the engine. Okay? So it's a burst, not the power of the engine. So if you're going to think of how far your car is going to go, or how long it's going to run, or how many mountains that you're going to drive all the back roads, it's not going to be the strength of the jumper cables that got you in all those places. I don't know if my car metaphor is losing itself because I'm not really a car person, but I get it. It's more the engine. It's the engine that takes you the distance. It's the engine that, bases how fast you can go on that cross country, road trip. It's the engine, not the jumper cables. So it's something deeper. And for a lot of us, especially if you're listening to this, there's a spiritual component. There's a something more component, and something that is incredibly grounded, that actually carves out the success and gives you what other people will see in you as discipline. They'll be like, oh my gosh, you have the willpower to do that. And you go, no, there's something deeper here. And this is the place where we want to focus on. I'm going to go at it from a few different angles, but partly our why, right? If somebody, and I want you to think if you've ever struggled or had health goals, weight goals, that type of thing. I know I spent a long time in an eating disorder and all this. If I'm trying to lose 10 pounds for a wedding that's like next weekend because I want to get into that dress that's a size 5 or whatever it is, that is very short term. So somebody could, borderline starve themselves or go out on 1 million walks or, reduce their salt. My dog has something to say about it. I'm just going to keep rolling. That is short term. And even athletes that are bodybuilders, 48 hours before the show, I think they do something like stop drinking water or whatever to just get debloated, right? Short term. But even, and I'm sure there are some of you listening here that have a background in bodybuilding, it is not maintainable. You cannot stay at your bodybuilding weight or leanness or whatever you would call it. You're not staying in not drinking water, for heaven's sake, right? It's a short-term thing. And I want you to think of the saying that I'm sure you've heard: short-term pain, long-term gain, or long-term pain, short-term gain. So when we're focusing on short-term gains, we're often causing ourselves long-term pain. Whereas when we actually look at the long-term gain, then we end up causing or having short-term pain. Like short-term pain might be, quote unquote pain. It's not actually pain, but going like, oh, okay, fine, I'll go out for the walk and like I'm cold. I kind of want to stay here in my bed or whatever. Short-term pain to just get out there, get your shoes on, figure it out. And then you get out there. But if you do that every day, you're setting yourself up for a huge long-term gain, right? So bring your attention to that as well as we talk about this. So discipline isn't the goal. Alignment is the goal. And I want you to take this in as I say this, especially if it resonates. Discipline isn't the thing that you're looking for. Alignment will have you move into a place with health, business, self-growth, moving forward, that will carry you the distance. When we think of success as a long-term thing, whether that's mental health success, personal life success, any kind of success you could imagine, alignment is the key, not discipline. Because if you could take like a discipline pill, but then you have to take that discipline pill every day, like 5 times a day, 10 times a day, to like eat a healthy lunch and take your vitamins and go for a walk and, make that post in your business and do a scary thing. Like if you had to keep taking discipline pills, that would not be a long-term plan. That's not sustainable. So I had a client once who kept saying to me, Talia, I just need more discipline. I just really need to be more disciplined. Then everything would work because then I'd get up in the morning and then I'd meditate and then that would set my energy and et cetera, right? Except she was trying to discipline herself into something that she didn't actually want. She was trying to force it. So hear me out. When we started talking about it, I was like, why do you think you have to get up? For her, it was she wanted to get up at 5 a.m., like before all the kids and all that, and meditate and stuff. And I said, so why do you want to get up at that time? And I won't break down the whole conversation, but of course, like it would be good, like 5 a.m. meditation before the house starts, and then I'd be centered and all this stuff. But when we really went deeper, first of all, she had a newborn and 2 like very young, around 5 to 6-year-old kids. And one thing is she realized, first of all, she was shooting herself, thinking she should get up at 5 a.m., yet sleep was something that was very sporadic. Her kids are waking up in the night. She's going to bed later, trying to get everything done, all that stuff, exhausted. So she realized, like, I don't want to get up at 5 a.m., but I think I should. So I'm looking for this willpower that really isn't even something I want to do. So when we broke it down, we actually found a much better solution for her to meditate at night. But then also I gave her some resources, like tracks that I created for like a midday reset. That's just 6 minutes in the middle of the day, ground back in. And after a couple weeks of doing that, all of a sudden she's like, oh my goodness, I look forward to my evening meditation. She said after, dinner's done and the kids go to bed and the kitchen's clean, whatever, the first thing she'll do is do her meditation, and her husband will like do something, on his own. And then they come together before bed to, watch a show or say goodnight or whatever they do. So it was just really funny that after a couple of weeks of just reorienting, she was all of a sudden, quote unquote, disciplined. She was meditating every day. She was doing the midday reset. She was feeling amazing. And it was like a click that she had for herself. It wasn't me telling her. She saw it, that she didn't actually want right now while she has a 6-month-old, while she's breastfeeding in the night. Like she didn't want to get up at 5 a.m. She also felt like if she got up, then the pets are going to get up and the kids are going to get up, and she needed sleep. So sometimes we're looking for a discipline or a willpower for something that doesn't even actually fit in our life, or something that we don't even want, or we do want it, but just in a different suit. It might not be our click. And then, of course, there are times when it is maybe going out for a walk every day, something that you really do want to do, but you're finding it to be difficult to get out consistently. So this is another place where alignment, when you're truly aligned, you don't need discipline. I'm just kind of choosing my words carefully. You don't need discipline to drag you toward what you want or give you like Tony Robbins like motivation and energy to get to where you want. You naturally move toward it. It becomes the thing that you know is right for you. But I want you to think about something. There's often a perspective that needs to shift. So let's use the example of going for a walk every day and having, a client that is like, no matter what I do, like I just can't get out for a walk. It's just every day I don't do it. So if it was my client, and this has happened before many times with this type of situation, I would talk about like, why do you want to go for a walk? Well, it's clear my energy, blah, blah, blah. And when we work it all the way around to come back to, I want to treat myself with care. I'm learning to love myself. I'm learning to honor myself. I'm learning to have really high self care and self-worth and, self-love. And it would feel amazing. I deserve that. That could be like my time to just walk around the block. And some days it could be 10 minutes if that's all I have. And other days, maybe it could be longer, or I could take the dog, or I could listen to a podcast, or I could just be out in nature. And once we get back into why do you even want to do this, rather than just you should do it, motivation comes out of you. And that's what then is that grit. So when I look at it like I really want to continue loving myself and acting in that way and carrying myself, nurturing myself. So going for a walk would be in such high self-love. Okay, why don't I go for a walk? Okay, well, I don't prioritize that time. I find that there's dishes, there's laundry. I'm just like working through, how it can go with clients and with myself. Okay, so really what it is I'm not prioritizing my needs. I'm saying in some way that these emails or the dishes are more important than, my well-being. And we work ourselves into a place where we have that click of something deeper. And when you start to have that deeper click, the time comes when you want to move toward it. When the day to remain tight in a bud becomes the risk to remain tight in a bud becomes more than the risk to blossom, referring to that quote that I love to refer to, you want to. And think about when you love somebody or you're falling in love with somebody. Nobody has to motivate you to love them or to see them again. You want to. Alignment creates that gravity, that deeper realization of like, kind of like the last episode, like shit, I only live once this time. Let's make the most of it. I don't want to sabotage my health and wellness. I'm learning that I am more important than the dishes because them bitches, they just regenerate those dishes. They'll never be done. And you are more important. Go take the walk. The dishes will get done. Right? So motivation comes and goes, but that inner shift, that inner perspective shift is permanent. So that inner shift is an identity shift. We start moving out of suffering. We start moving out of small. We start moving out of self-sabotaging, not because we have to or because we should or because we found the willpower like lodged, behind a desk somewhere in our house or something. Sweet, I found my willpower. No, the identity changes. We start to say, I don't want to suffer anymore. I do want to be healthy. I do want to be, happy or light or moving forward. Your identity starts to change. And when you shift who you believe you are, your baseline starts to raise. And nobody can make you become somebody that starts showing up for themselves more. You do that. So to kind of make this even more physical or tangible, if you were wanting to go for a walk every day and you start shifting your identity out of somebody who endlessly maybe struggles or self-sabotages or somebody who isn't healthy, and you want to move into somebody who is healthy, you can just go for one walk and go, ooh, this is me starting to expand my identity. I'm becoming somebody who walks, who takes a walk around the block, who gets in exercise. And it doesn't mean you have to be perfect. It doesn't mean that Monday, Wednesday, Friday for the rest of your life. It's about choosing it now, doing it, choosing it again tomorrow or the next day, and then becoming that person, shifting who you believe you are and what you want for your life. that will turn into what others call motivation. I have a friend who used to be a client. If you're listening, you'll know who you are. And fitness is her life. Fitness is an important part of her everyday life. And she doesn't need the motivation, from my perspective, to work out because it's who she is. So even if she goes a couple days or whatever, or even if she's traveling, like she'll find a way. And even if it's not this crazy intense workout, she'll get in 15 minutes of weights or go on a swift walk, or it's just who she is. And I, even being her friend, have looked at her and gone like, man, if I had the willpower. But it's really about shifting that identity. I am somebody who goes for walks. I am somebody who is learning to put myself first. And that is such a deep side, or a deep shift, that you don't have to chase motivation. You become the person who takes aligned action without needing the jumper cables every single time, right? So first I want to talk about, and then I'm going to, as we start to end this, I'm going to ground this even more, make it even more tangible and physical. But I first want to talk about the dark side of discipline and motivation. And we've been touching on this on previous episodes. So the way that we have been taught discipline is often self-punishment and self-berating in a hoodie. Like we're talking about like the disguises, right? That we have the different parts of us, and sometimes the ego is in a hoodie saying like, get out there. But that's the same thing. Discipline is often just glamorized punishment. It's like the drill sergeant being like, get your ass out there, and usually not nice, right? So a lot of times people use discipline as a way to almost outrun maybe their own shame. But it also reinforces the shame. So when we hear in our mind, I need to do better, I need to get this right, I need to be perfect, I should be there by now, I need to do more, oh man, I need that motivation to just never eat sugar again, or whatever it is, this becomes that self-improvement treadmill, the rat race, the hamster wheel, the never-ending expectation of, if I just push harder, if I just force myself, then I will feel good enough. Then I'll get fit, then I'll get rich, then I'll do whatever it is. But that's not the true energy of what we need, the grit, the resilience. That is not the same energy. It's self-abandonment in a pretty dress. Like it's dressed up as productivity, but it's actually self-criticism, self-shame, self-abandonment, which, I didn't even plan on saying this, but when we do that, it will only lead to more feelings of pressure and shame, which does what? It leads us to have to cope, to pull out our dark coping strategies. It makes us want to numb. It makes us want to self-sabotage because we are so hard on ourselves in our head. And that was my entire eating disorder. I was so critical and mean and pressure filled in my head that every single day I had to drink or do drugs or something to numb myself. And I've said this, I don't feel like I had an addiction to one thing. I had an addiction to numbing myself. And so whether it was drugs or alcohol and like this for a season, that for a season, the addiction was numbing myself because it sucked to be in my head. So when we're trying to be harder on ourselves to try to be more disciplined, it often causes the complete opposite. Then we run to the sugar, then we run to the alcohol, then we run to the carbs. We, actually probably don't run. We run to the not running because we start to sabotage because the pressure is too much. And if you had a coach, and there's maybe a few people in life that this would work well, but if you had a physical, like athletic coach, and they just fucking yelled at you, for lack of better words, and berated you and said like, you need to be better, you should be more fit by now. Like, I don't know about you, maybe I'm too much of an empath, but I feel like I would just curl up and cry and be like, I'm never going back. It's not going to work. But if someone's going like, yeah, think of living long for your kids. Oh, you're doing a great job. Just one more. And they were talking to me like that. Think of the long-term health. You're building muscle. You're building your future. Look at you go day by day. I'd be like, whoa, I can lift anything. So we want to really think about what and how we are going about this discipline, this motivation, this willpower, because I don't think it exists in the way that we say. I think it's just like putting gas on the fire and that's it. Whereas we need to learn how to get that fire chugging, how to get the long-term gains, how to get the long-term wins. So What actually causes long-term success? I touched on it in the beginning, but I'm going to say resilience. It reminds me of nervous system regulation, where the goal is not to be like even all the time. The goal is actually to be able to have a nervous system reaction, either good or bad or this or that, and then to come back to normal. And over our day, we have like a hit of stress, and then we can bring ourselves back to normal. That's true nervous system regulation. Or we're feeling really great and then we come back to normal. And then we're feeling really triggered or bad and we come back to normal. Trying to come back to center, or the art of coming back to center, is more like a wave. And that is true regulation. And that is resilience. That is long-term, what people would say is balance. But it's really not about hot and cold and on and off. It's about staying the course. So resilience is the quiet power that people don't really talk about a lot. Because also, if I say, like, let's talk about building resilience, you're going to be like, oh, like, I've been strong for so long. I've been so resilient. I don't want to be resilient. But when we break it down in a more grounded or spiritual or just like a more earthy sense, it's not a bad thing. Resilience doesn't mean being tough or being like having a hard shell. It's more about staying the course. So resilience isn't just going to the gym and taking a selfie and being like, I work out now. It's still going, still showing up. Even if you go for a 10-minute walk, even if the steps are small, even if you're sick for a week, you go back. It's about, I'm still here. I'm still moving. I'm still showing up. And when we think of it long term, and I like to say, life and self-growth, it's not a sprint, it's a marathon. And when somebody goes into running a marathon, that's a very different mentality than sprinting. Just think of even the body, the training, the type of energy putting into it. If you're a marathon runner, that is a very different style than just sprinting. Sprinting is just going full tilt, like giving it all you've got for a very short amount of time. Whereas a marathon, if you watch people, or if you've run a marathon, I've done a 10K before, but when you watch people, not everybody, as soon as it's like, wah, not everybody's like, running as fast as they can. The people that end up winning the race are probably not the people sprinting from the starting line, because it's about longevity. It's you think of a marathon, there's going to be dips in your energy where you're like, oh my gosh, I'm only on kilometer 5, like, oh, but then all of a sudden by kilometer 7, you're like, woo, and now you're flying. And then it's like, oh gosh, that is what life is. So yes, you might have willpower to keep going in a marathon, but that marathon runner already knows they're going to do it. Whether they're trying to have the best time ever or just do it for fun, they're going to do it. So it's not really willpower. It's just knowing what you came for and staying the course. And especially with things like 10Ks, I loved it when I did it because it wasn't a race. It was just, I'm going to go and do my personal best. And if I need to walk for a minute, fine. If I need to, if I'm sprinting or whatever, cool. But it's more about keeping the pace, a pace you can maintain, just keeping in the game. So I've had clients, and I myself built entire parts of my business on like fight or flight, on something short-term success, and it will work. I'd have like a 10K month and then down to like a $300 month, maybe not quite, but it would be up and down and all that. And now I think of long-term. I think of resilience. I think of not just motivation, not just I got to do another episode. I think long-term. I think steady. I think grounded. I think consistent. The willingness to get back up and come back and keep doing the things that feel aligned. And you guys have seen me close down things that I've offered, but this podcast feels so aligned that I don't need motivation to show up and record. I love it and I want to. And recently there was a few months where there were less recordings. I've done, two a week for years. And right now it's more like one, sometimes two a week. So sometimes there's a flow to it, but I am not stopping. I am here and I love this space and I don't need willpower to show up. I don't need that, because it's aligned. So resilience becomes the spiritual practice, consistency, marathon energy, staying in devotion to your vision and the things that you want, even when you feel messy or uninspired. So when you're devoted to your health, say you get a cold or a flu, the healthiest thing you could do is rest. Take some vitamins, let your body sweat it out. Let your body figure it out. It doesn't mean it should be leg day on a Wednesday when you've got the flu. That's not actually health. But then as you start to feel better, health might be, let's go out for a walk today. Just get the body moving after laying in bed for a few days. Yeah, maybe let's do a little bit of lemon water, apple cider vinegar, or take some extra supplements, maybe do a green juice, whatever it is for you. And then as you're feeling better, okay, let's get back into the routine. So it's not that you have to stick to some plan, stay disciplined. It's more about staying the course. And if your life is a marathon, you're thinking for longevity. You're thinking for sustainability. Discipline says, I have to, I should, I've gotta. But devotion or resilience or that deeper thing that keeps you there says, I'm gonna do this because it matters. Because I want this. So I'm going to show up. So showing up tomorrow or today for your workout isn't the end result. The end result is a long, happy, fit, healthy life or whatever it is for you. So discipline is pressure. Devotion is purpose. It's deeper alignment. It's continuing to show up. And that's what creates that resilience. That other people go, wow, you're really motivated. And it's like, no, I've got devotion and resilience. And that's what I practice. Devoting to my health, devoting to my business, devoting to my well-being, my mental health, my, energy, like my nervous system. It's devotion. I have found that discipline and motivation, it's like almost saying it just like burns me out. It just burns me out because it's always, like I said, the inner narrative, I should be better, be more disciplined, don't eat that. Blech, I just can't do that anymore. Devotion fills me up. So discipline might say, don't eat any sugar, but devotion's like, enjoy your chocolate. And when it's enough, it's okay to like fold it back up and put it away, or enjoy your chocolate with your tea and love it, enjoy it, have it be for you. And that is health. Discipline is pushing from the mind, and devotion, I want you to feel this, it's the soul pulling you. Devotion and what you say you want in your life is your soul pulling you. So when devotion is present, discipline becomes kind of irrelevant because it is who you are. You move because something inside of you is calling you forward. And as we close, I want to say that this is about becoming the version of you that doesn't need to be pushed. The spiritual side of discipline is you becoming the person who doesn't need discipline to live the life they desire. You show up in alignment, simple. I don't mean, again, that it's perfect and it's this and it's that. It's alignment. It's doing your best. It's showing up for yourself, becoming the person who shows up to live the life they desire. It's built on resilience, on devotion, on alignment, shifting your identity into the person who shows up for themselves. It's built on a whole lot of self-compassion and grace and a long-term vision. So let discipline be like the last 2% that the odd time pulls you through a thing, and maybe not even at all. Maybe after listening to this, you go, I don't even need discipline or motivation or willpower. This is actually it. The true motivation is your deeper why and the life that you want. It's not surface level. So resilience, devotion, alignment, identity shifts, compassion, and your long-term vision, that will be the 95% that gets you there, that has you show up. And also, as things don't go the way that you planned, as they will, when it's raining, when you thought it would be sunny on your walk, or you put something out in your business and it flops or whatever, that will be the thing that gets you through the marathon. Because there will be dips, and there will be shit that happens, and there will be unexpected detours and roadblocks and all the things. But when you have a deep why, when you have a deep, like, that's it, it's happening, you've decided you're showing up for the life you want. You've decided that you're claiming it and it's yours and that's it. And now your actions fall into line, and that is that 95%. So I hope that this has resonated with you today. And today I want you to practice showing up for yourself in one area of life that's been coming up as I've been talking, and doing something small. That is, the reason I say small is because then it's doable today, and you don't go like, oh, I don't have 5 hours to do a thing. Just do something that's small that can be worked into today. whether it's breath work or a walk or taking your vitamins or, making a really healthy soup, whatever you can do that will nurture one of your goals, and look at it like devotion. When somebody has a business and they're consistently posting or, creating episodes or whatever, that's devotion. I'm nurturing this podcast by creating episodes. I don't have to do anything. I don't need to be pushed to do this. I freaking love doing this. This is devotion because it's in alignment and it feels right. So think of one thing you can do today and frame it like I am devoting to myself. I am shifting my identity into somebody who's healthy, who's a business owner, who's successful, who's an author, whatever you've got going on. And look at it like little acts of devotion over time. That is the marathon. And as a last question, when you think of your success in life, maybe your whole life as a dream life, or maybe it's one area a big thing you're working on, I want you to think, if that was a marathon, how would I act and be and look at it and plan and move forward? How would I do it if I looked at it like a marathon, not a sprint? Okay, I am sending you so much love. I intended for this one to be short and it actually ended up being longer than the regular, but I am so happy to be here. As I said, it fills me up. So thank you so much for taking this time with me. I hope that this resonated with you. And as I said, if you would be so gracious as to leave me a review on your podcast app, it would mean the world. Also, come find me on Instagram. That's where I'm showing everything or sharing everything that's going on, including the upcoming forecast readings. And I have some spots for mentorship available in the clarity and momentum session. So it's 2 sessions over a week to really boost you forward. And then we also have some longer term options we can talk about as well. All right, check the show notes for all that stuff and more. And I will see you in the next episode. Have a great day.